All right, let's dive into one of the most legendary places on Earth, a spot that's captured our darkest imaginations for decades, the Bermuda Triangle. So what's the real story? What's myth? What's fact? And, what's the actual mystery we should be talking about? This is the picture we all have in our heads, right? Some kind of hungry vortex out in the middle of the ocean. It's a really powerful idea, and it's been fueled by just story after story of planes and ships just vanishing. Poof, gone without a trace. But where did it all start?
To really get the legend, you have to go back to the tales that gave it life. And honestly, some of them are just baffling. Like the unbelievable flight of a pilot who was convinced he flew straight through a hole in time.
Okay, so picture this. You're pilot Bruce Gernon. You fly into this weird cloud, and it starts to swirl, forming a vortex, a tunnel. Suddenly, all your instruments go crazy. Your compass is just spinning. And then poof, you shoot out the other side, right over Miami Beach. You just covered a 90-minute flight in 47 minutes. He was a veteran pilot. He couldn't explain it. And his story became like Exhibit A for the whole paranormal theory.
But as wild as Gernon's story is, it's got nothing on this one. Flight 19. This is the ghost that really haunts the Bermuda Triangle. I mean, 5 military bombers, just gone. And then a rescue plane sent after them? Gone too. This is the event that truly cemented the idea that there's a uniquely cursed patch of ocean out there.
So you've got these incredibly mysterious, compelling events, but it kind of makes you ask a really basic question. Why a triangle? I mean, of all the shapes, where did that specific name even come from?
It seems like such a simple question, right? But the answer? Well, it completely reframes this entire mystery. You'd think maybe it was an old sailor's term or an official Navy designation, but the truth is a lot more recent.
Get this, the Bermuda Triangle wasn't an official name at all. It was basically invented by a writer for a magazine. Back in 1964, a guy named Vincent Gaddis literally just looked at a map, connected the dots between Bermuda, Florida, and Puerto Rico, and boom, he had a catchy, spooky name for a bunch of unrelated incidents. It wasn't science, it was marketing.
And that just shows you the power of a good name. Seriously, before that article in '64, nobody was talking about a triangle. There were just accidents at sea, like there are all over the world. That geometric shape is what bundled them all together into one terrifying legend.
Okay, so the name is a modern invention. But what about the evidence behind the biggest case of all? Let's circle back to Flight 19 and really look at what the official records have to say.
So here's where things get interesting. On one hand, you have the legend, paranormal forces, clear skies, total mystery. But then you look at the actual official record, and a completely different picture comes into focus. We're talking equipment failure, a disoriented leader, and a storm that blew up out of nowhere. And that rescue plane? It wasn't some mystery. It was a model known for being a flying gas tank. It likely exploded in that same horrible weather.
When you really break it down, it's just a tragic chain of events. The flight leader got lost. He thought his compasses were broken, so he started navigating by sight, but he misidentified where he was. He was convinced he was over the Florida Keys when he was way out over the Bahamas. Every single decision he made from that point on took his squadron further and further out into the open, stormy ocean until they just ran out of fuel.
So if it's not some paranormal vortex, does that mean the area is totally safe? Not at all. The thing is, the mystery of the Bermuda Triangle isn't that it's supernatural, it's that we've been so focused on the supernatural that we've overlooked the very real, very natural dangers that are actually there.
I mean, this region is a perfect storm of hazards. First, you've got the Gulf Stream. It's basically a giant, powerful river inside the ocean that can sweep away any wreckage in just hours. Second, it's smack in the middle of Hurricane Alley, famous for weather that can turn nasty in a heartbeat. And third, the place is just huge. We're talking over 1 million square kilometers of open water. Finding anything in that is like finding a needle in a haystack the size of a continent. So what about those thousands of disappearances we always hear about? Well, if you look at the official records from folks like the U.S. Coast Guard, the number is a lot smaller. We're talking around 70 ships and planes over the last 500 years. For an area that busy and that stormy, that number is actually not very unusual at all.
And to really put that into perspective, just look at a sample year for major shipping losses around the world. You see these high numbers in really dangerous places like the South China Sea or the Black Sea. And the Bermuda Triangle? It had 0. It doesn't even make the list of the world's most dangerous shipping lanes.
But if you want the absolute, final, nail-in-the-coffin proof, just follow the money. Global insurance companies, the people whose entire business is calculating risk down to the last decimal point, do not charge one extra penny for ships or planes going through the Bermuda Triangle. If there was any real statistical danger, believe me, their prices would go through the roof. But they don't.
So we've kind of picked apart the legend. But does that mean there's no mystery left? Actually, it's the opposite. Once we let go of the Phantom Triangle, we can turn our focus to a mystery that is way bigger and way more real.
Take a look at this. This is how much we actually know about the oceans that cover most of our planet. It's kind of shocking, right? A staggering 90% is still unmapped or poorly mapped. We have almost no idea what's down there.
And this right here, this is what's truly mind-blowing. Our best map of most of our own ocean floor can only see things bigger than 5 kilometers. 5. Meanwhile, we have the entire moon mapped down to 100 meters, and parts of Mars mapped so well we can see a 6-meter rock. We literally have better, more detailed maps of the face of another planet than we do of the floor of our own ocean.
So I guess that's the final thought to leave you with. We spent all this time telling stories about a mythical triangle in the sky. But maybe the real wonder, the real adventure, isn't some paranormal zone. Maybe it's the fact that in the 21st century, the vast majority of our own planet is still a complete and total mystery, just waiting for us to explore. Thanks for tuning in.